Yep. So in other words, different tiers on the scale are speaking different languages.
Yeah, different language. Yeah, they live because different things were important to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move on to number 2 here.
Okay.
Which is another. I gotta log out of Facebook here. I keep getting these alerts. You stated that
well, you're not
a woman has to come.
You're not simulcasting on Facebook?
No, this one's going to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
I just hold on a second.
Okay. Doctors are busy. I always say that. I say that to Dr. Johnson all the time. You guys are always busy.
I'm in this one group, and sometimes it heats up, and messages are going all over the place.
Okay.
Okay, that's close.
I don't think they want to hear this message.
So one of the more intriguing things you said it in another video was that a woman has to come with those attributes already ready to go, already built in.
If they're going to be wives, okay, because really, the attributes they want should be instilled by her mother.
Okay.
Should be instilled by her mother, especially if she's going to be a wife. Okay. If you want it, you're going to get it anyway, right? So if say like 92s, the reason that they're 92s is because it was instilled by her mother to be independent, right? Independent, looking for a partner, looking for your equal, looking for whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's partner. Even your father saying, is she educated? Okay. Or is she on your level? Okay. He's talking about partner. He's really not talking about a wife.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And yet the expectation is that, you all will stay together, forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost as though they don't know what they're asking for us.
Yeah. They make assumptions about certain things, like okay, number one, there ain't that any black women on your level anyway, much less people, right? So that's kind of thin for when he says educated, what did he mean? Somebody that has a PhD, master's, what did he mean?
Well, I think the lower the basement would be a bachelor's.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now that's important if you for your children. So the more educated the mother is, then the more educated the children should be. That is not always the case, but it should be. So if the mother and father are educated, then the children will probably be educated also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there won't be any disparities about what kind of education the children should get, because they're on accord with that.
Yeah.
So that's probably the reason you said it, but also that also lends to be more of a partner, trying to find a housewife, especially these days, that's educated like that. It's going to have problems. Let's put it that way. It's going to have problems.
Right. Okay. Well, Kendra's here. Welcome, Crimson Cure. So Nicole asked, the passport question shouldn't be asked. I'm confused because I asked LOL.
It should. Okay, if that, but it should be asked early on. Okay, it should be asked early on. It should be asked within the first 30 days. Okay.
Yeah.
If that's important to you, if that's everybody has their own deal breakers. Okay. Yeah. And she has every right to ask about a passport if that's important to her.
Yeah, I guess again the thing is where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't, no one was asking about that.
Yeah,
and it's like my going back to Kevin, and this is my Mandalay Bay story. I don't know if you ever heard this, but last October my family took a family trip to Vegas.
Okay.
And my cousin, who, she's a 92, she's the other PhD in this wing of the family.
Okay.
She organized the trip, and she got us all in Mandalay Bay.
Okay.
Which is a very nice,
very expensive,
very nice hotel. So I'd never stayed in one of the upper end hotels in Vegas before.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wow, this is great. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I want to come back to Mandalay Bay.
Mm-hmm. No, you didn't hit the Bellagio.
No. I have to check out the rest of the strip. So I'll just say that many of my relatives were like, this is way too much.
Okay.
The food here is too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Why did she book us here?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you come from humble beginnings like that, you have to get used to doing nice things.
Okay.
Which is something, you know, I think the Kevin, you know, has taught his flock.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, you know, if you don't, my mother wasn't what they call a fashionista. Have you heard that term?
Yes.
Yeah, my mother wasn't a fashionista. She wasn't all up in Macy's and
Mm-hmm.
buying fur coats and
Mm-hmm.
you know, getting 20 pairs of shoes and boots.
She's salt of the earth.
Salt of the earth. What does that mean?
All means a common person. Salt of the earth. Basically, what civilization built on salt of the earth. Basically,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very humble, humble, common person. Salt of the earth. Very high morals and without a lot of frills.
Mm-hmm.
That would be salt of the earth.
Okay. So just briefly, so if it's her mother who's supposed to pass those things on,
Mm-hmm.
Was there just some mass decision that we're not going to pass these things on anymore? Or?
Oh yeah. That happened in the. It was really, you know, it always was that way. If you read Frazier's book and Du Bois' book, it always was that way. Is that black men were always a necessary evil to black women. We had to have them. We depended on them because you got to have men. Okay, so we're a necessary evil, and at some point it had a lot to do with men, but it had something to do with black men, mostly to do with what black women had to do as a career. Okay, they were kind of shoveled into housework, being a maid, or something like that. And they always dreamed of their independence, and if they couldn't, they would pass it down to their daughters. So over the years, that dream has been passed down from mother to daughter until the 50s, when after World War II, when women could actually go into the into having careers. And even the women that couldn't do it, weren't educated to do it, they passed it on to the daughters. I couldn't make it. I couldn't be this. So guess what? I'm going to push you to be this. And so it happened in the 50s, and then the Greatest Generation actually told their daughters that don't get stuck. Okay, don't get stuck with just being a housewife. Okay, get your education. Don't worry about men. Don't worry about being a wife. Be able to support yourself and live your dream. Right? That's what they told them.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the boomers were the first generation of black women. I don't know about white, but black women that were not trained to be wives primarily. Okay, now some did. There was still some lingering effect about being domesticated, but they were actually, their mindset was not given to be wives. And then of course, when the boomers had children, guess what? They can't pass down stuff that they don't know. So they taught their daughters to be even more independent than they were. So basically the wifehood went from being something I only do if I have to something I don't even want to do ever because I'm too good for it.
Yeah.
And so the millennials and Gen X and millennials and even on down, then they're never even trained to be wives. They don't even know how. At least the boomers knew how. They didn't want to do it, but they knew how. But I know my mother, she never taught my daughters, taught her daughters, which are boomers, which are boomers and early Gen X, basically to be wives. So always be independent, get your education, don't worry about no nigga, and do you. So them being wives was never at the forefront.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to turn into Mr. Spock here, but it's very fascinating. The older generations would not look far into the future and see what ramifications that would have for everyone coming after them. It's almost a lack of foresight, or yeah, it's fascinating that they wouldn't think about what the outcomes would be for something like that.
Well, because it was unprecedented. Because of automation and the Industrial Revolution, you couldn't do that before. It was impossible. So, with this artificial environment that we live in now, it's possible for women to be separated from men. Okay, could have children without men. Okay, that was never possible before.
Okay.
So they had nothing to go on. So basically, if you never experienced it, never even seen it, how can you know what the future is? You only know what you know.
Yeah. Okay. So BGS. So going back, does that mean that your cohort, it stopped with you guys, or it stopped before you guys?
It stopped with us. I say the greatest generation, even though they wanted to be independent, they couldn't, because it wasn't time for it yet. They couldn't. So they passed. So it was always a dream of theirs. In fact, I think I posted one video I posted where a chick, she was actually a boomer, and she said her mother and her grandmother taught her that not to clean. Okay.
Wow.
Because her mother and her aunts and grandmother all were cleaning ladies. They had to clean up not only their house but white folks' houses, and they taught her that it was beneath her to clean. So she had to find men that would actually do the cleaning for her. But that's the mindset. She's kind of on the extreme side, but that's the mindset.
Okay. Hey, I have one more comment about this passport thing.
Okay, go ahead.
You know what? The issue isn't asking about it, but it's making a judgment on the person.
Yes.
When they don't have it.
Yeah.
Because they might not have it because they didn't have exposure to it. And that's when a lot of the women asked me that. And actually, I did have one. I got to renew it. But it's the assumption
that if you don't have one, the assumption you're not well traveled.
You're not well traveled, or you're not even interested in it. But you might say, okay, yeah, that sounds like fun, but just Yeah.
They want women want a man that's experiencing what they whatever it is.
Yes.
Most women, I say, especially black women, don't want to teach. They don't want to show. They basically want they want the man that they want that man to already have it when they come along, which is silly, but it is what it is.
That's an excellent point. And the when I was talking before you came on, the ex who I went to go see that counselor with, I sensed that there were things that either I didn't have or didn't know that she expected me to already have.
Yeah, or I already know.
She was frustrated that that I didn't know or that I didn't have them, and I just that was all new to me. I felt like we meet where we meet. We're growing together.
Yeah.
And we'll grow and evolve together, but nope, you lose points for not knowing this, you lose points for not knowing that. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So okay. Last question, and then we can start have some other folks come in. So, and Master Teacher, you might not have the answer for this.